it's Ceru, and I know it's been quite a while since I last posted a video, or even a speed build for that matter, but I'm really excited to show you guys this build and to share it with you. So I've been working on an art studio slash pottery studio, and the idea came about, so if you follow me on Tumblr, I've been posting some of my rotational gameplay, and I've also been doing a couple live streams as well. So I've been playing with the Spencer Kim Lewis family, and I was actually inspired by Ocean Sims. She was doing some rotational gameplay in Willow Creek, and the Spencer Kims was one of the families that she played. And when I watched her videos, they kind of like, I don't know, like something just clicked in my brain. The ideas started pouring in. And so that's how I came up with the idea. Was to even like revisit the pre-mates, because that's something that I'd never done when I played the game. I always kind of just like make my own Sims and my own families, and then the pre-mates kind of just exist in the background. I don't really like get involved with like their storylines or anything like that, but I decided to do a little bit something a little different, and I think doing that kind of gave me, I don't know, it made gameplay feel kind of fresh, like kind of something new. And so when I played with the Spencer Kims and with Alice particularly, I had never played with like an artist. Does that make sense? Like because I'm not really someone who's like big on like making a ton of money in The Sims, and I know that painting is like a surefire way to make like thousands of dollars like in a day, and so that never really appealed to me, which sounds kind of crazy now that I'm saying it out loud, like, but I kind of stick to more like structured jobs for my Sims. Like they have like an actual shift at like 7 a.m. or like stuff like that. So I never did like a freelancer kind of like your own. So playing with that with Alice was really cool, and that's how I came up with the idea to make an art studio. And so all of this came about, this idea to have like a second home, quote unquote, for Alice, and like a workspace for her came before businesses and hobbies, or small businesses as I like to call it. It was actually really kind of cool to see the pack be announced, and be able to like have real gameplay mechanics to make my vision come true, because initially it started off with just Alice has her own little workspace and a lot that was already created. It's like a clothing store and like a thrifty boba shop kind of place, and then her office was like in there somewhere. But then it turned into like a art studio with multiple studios in it that people can rent out. So it kind of turned into like a more business side of things. And so yeah, the pack came out at a perfect time is what I'm trying to say. That was a really long explanation. So I wanted to create my own build. I was already using a different lot made by a different creator. I'll put the original lot in the description. It doesn't have like an art studio in it at all. I kind of just redecorated like one of the shell buildings that was kind of just there for decoration, and then did my own thing. But I will link that in the description if you want to play around with that idea and do something similar. But I wanted to create my own build, one so I could share with all of you guys, because I don't know, I didn't want to like re-upload someone else's work and that kind of thing. So, and then also redoing the whole building thing is like, I'm realizing I'm not a builder. Yeah, like I can do it, but I'm not really like confident in my building skill, which is kind of crazy considering how many speed builds I have on my channel. But that's whatever. I think one of my main gripes, if like I were to give myself constructive criticism, is that a lot of my builds are like very small on the inside. I'm really not good when it comes to layouts and stuff like that. Even when I was working on this art studio, you'll see the layout of it changes drastically. Like it looks totally different from how it started to how it looks in the end. And a lot of that was just me, I don't know, I guess it's not really like a flaw or like a fault. It's kind of just, that's just part of the building process, is that you're just like doing things and figuring things out. But yeah, I would definitely classify myself as a redecorator as opposed to like a builder. I know that when people talk about what kind of Sims player they are, it's like, I'm more of like a creative sim player, I'm a builder, I'm a redecorator. I like to take people's builds or like builds off of the gallery and then make them my own, or like, you know, it's just so much easier that way, so I don't have to worry about the whole task of figuring out layouts and looking up floor plans and doing all of that stuff. I can just go in and it's already all laid out and I can just redecorate it. I don't know. That kind of thing is very fun. But so right now is about the time when I'm starting to reconfigure everything, and I actually did this on stream on YouTube. So I've been streaming for quite a while now, and with YouTube it's a little finicky because I feel like it's not easy to find like past live streams, but if you go on my channel, it'll be like video, shorts, and then like live. That's where like the past recordings of my live streams will be. So I played with like the Joy of Life challenge with the Mancuso family. I played with the Spencer Kims, and you can kind of see when I first started to create the art studio that I was originally using for Alice. There's like a couple other VODs up on there as well. But yeah, I did the rest of the building on stream, so it was kind of really cool to do and get like live feedback. But yeah, so you can see me break my brain trying to reconfigure everything. I wanted it to be like, I guess like skinnier and like longer, kind of similar to the way how the show was on the original lot. And you'll kind of see me go back and forth and like taking peeks at the lot in the Managed Worlds thing, just so I can like get it how it looked before. And I kind of prefer it to be laid out this way as opposed to how I had it before. My original idea was that it would be longer horizontally so that it could account for the studios on like the second floor, and then the first floor would be just for the gallery, and then there would be an open courtyard in the middle, and then there would be a second building in the way back that would have like the kids arts and crafts room and like the pottery classes and everything like that. But logistically it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to do it that way. So everything is still kind of laid out the same. It's just more vertically longer, and then also left more space for the pottery studio to be kind of like its own separate attached building as well. And for my idea with the first floor with the gallery, I think when I upload it to the gallery, I'll just leave it blank, like all of the walls, like where you can put art and stuff. I'll probably leave it blank. But my idea was that with the small businesses lot type, and like all of the business activities that you can add, one of them is that you can have like painting be an activity. So like people will come in and like paint on the easels. Sometimes they'll leave their art there, but I really like the idea that the gallery would be full of like art by local artists, like from, you know, people around the town that like come in, you know, I don't know. I just thought that would be really cool. But another cool idea that you could do is that it's all art by the business owner, and people or whoever is owning the lot, and it could be filled with that kind of art as well. So I don't know, there's like a whole lot of possibilities that you could do with it. And I don't know how many specifically art studios, like independent rooms that there are, but there's definitely more than enough, especially if you're using the small business law type. It's not going to be like a ton of people. In hindsight, I'm realizing I could have made it smaller, and it would have felt more full. It's also not like a CC free friendly kind of build, and for that I apologize. I'm just I made it to share, of course, which is why I made it onto a separate lot, but I don't know, like I made this more so with me in mind. So I personally, in the way that I play my game, I don't mind if there's no stairs, which there aren't. Which again, I apologize. So it mostly uses the elevators by Ravasheen. So they're technically portals, and the weird kind of interesting thing about this lot is that since they're portals, Sims will go from like the 4th floor of the art studio into like teleport into the 1st floor of the pottery studio. I don't know if that bothers you. You know, you have the freedom to change it, you know. That's why I'm like sharing it, so you can do your own thing with the lot. But yeah, so each of the art studios has like a kitchenette. There's a desk, which it'll be empty there. I'm not going to put any computers in each of the art studios. I mainly put the desk there because in my imagination, I'm, you know, like digital artists would come in and like have a desk to do their art thing. Even though in The Sims they do it standing up, but you can play pretend in that way. Or even they could just bring their laptop and like do some work or something like that. It was actually kind of, what's like the right word? Maybe funny. When I was looking at real references of lots that are like similar, buildings that are kind of similar with like studios that you can rent out, a lot of them, listen, with this build, your Sims are getting like more than enough of their money's worth. Because like the real art studios, it's only just like a room and an easel and maybe like, you know, some windows and stuff. That's all that you get. But with these, you know, you get a lot of amenities. There's like even, you know, classes you can take. So it's a ton of cool stuff on this build. Actually, so the 2nd floor, there's a classroom. Originally, it was supposed to be another set of private art studios, but I wanted to do like a paint and sip like class kind of thing. So you won't see it in the recording because the stream that I did, a lot of the reconfiguration stuff got taken down. RIP. It's my fault. Mostly it's just whatever, it's like a music thing. YouTube is like very picky about that. But the 2nd floor has like a ton of easels and like a whiteboard, so the business owner can like host classes and that kind of thing. And there's also a custom content drink tray made by Stomach and Severanka, and when you click on it you can serve wine and then you can call people to have a drink of wine. So you could do like a paint and sip class in that kind of way. I think you could probably do something similar with the Horse Ranch nectar bottles if you want to like simulate that without any custom content. And then on the 1st floor there is a kids arts and crafts room, which if you don't set certain business activities, it won't get used. Like the room is mainly, I don't know, I had a vision for it, but I couldn't figure out a way to have it be only children's Sims using that room. So it's mostly comprised of like the kids activity tables. There's also like a custom content game table, you know, like where the tables where you can play like cards and like Don't Wake the Llama and that kind of thing, but it's made to look like a like crayon table, like kind of like a kiddie kind of table. So it's kind of, I don't know, it blends in pretty well. I was considering putting a whiteboard in that room as well, but I wasn't sure if you could hold lectures for specific Sims, and it looks like you can actually do that, but I think you can only do that with the Sim that you're controlling. So you can't like have an employee Sim teach only kids art classes and have it be only kids that take that class. Does that make sense? You have to be the one controlling and actually clicking on the whiteboard in order to be specific. So, in short, the kids' arts and crafts room is mainly there for decoration, but it's totally functional. You could use it if you so choose. And so I think about now I've figured out most of like the reconfiguration. I'm like kind of copy and pasting the rooms onto each floor, and going up and down, making sure everything looks correct. But I only did the like final touches in a separate recording, which I don't have, like I mentioned before. So a lot of things look different to how they are in the speed build version. I was considering I might do a separate video, or maybe like later in this video go through and talk about how to like run an art studio, because I found like a lot of, I would say, quirks about this pack and the way art studios are run. So that's definitely something that I might consider as doing as well. So, and I guess like in the interior decoration of this build, I used like a lot of the orange wood tone and like, you know, splashes of orange here and there. And in my headcanon with Alice, I imagine that her favorite color is orange. And so I don't know, I just thought that'd be kind of like a fun little color to add everywhere. And I also never used the like orangey wood color. I know that Dream Home Decorator has like a lot of furniture in those swatches as well. So it's kind of cool to be able to finally use the furniture in that swatch, and I think it kind of lended well to the community lot space look of it. Does that make sense? I don't know. I kind of just imagine that like that specific color shows up a lot in like community spaces. But yeah, I was considering decorating each art studio differently, but I kind of abandoned the idea because it was already taking me so long to do everything. I want to like actually complete something and like have it available to share. I tend to be stuck in like the limbo of work in progresses. So yeah, the most that I did was change the swatch color of some objects. For the most part, everything is the same object wise, same layout, everything's in like the exact same place. So right about now I'm about to start on the pottery studio, and that was kind of fun to build. It contrasts a lot color scheme wise to the art studio, and I thought that was kind of cool. I mainly did that because I imagined that it would be two different people running the art studio and the pottery studio. So technically with the small business pack, you can't run two independent businesses on the same lot at the same time. You can have two Sims in your household that each own their separate business, and you can run them on the same lot, I'm pretty sure, but you can't open them at the same time. So with that, I kind of because the way I imagine the pottery studio is that it's kind of like a partnership with the art studio, like they're there's like an agreement, especially because they're like technically like the same building. So with that, I came up with the idea that the person who runs the pottery studio is actually a family member of Alice, and all I'm gonna say is that they're single, okay? I don't have like a speed cast of me creating them because I kind of just did that on my own time. And so his traits are, he's a young adult Sim, and so he's younger than Alice because Alice is an adult in the game. So his traits are loner, overachiever, and maker. So the maker trait comes from eco lifestyle. It means that the sim enjoys creating things with their hands, so that it could be like fabrication or woodworking, stuff like that. They just love creating things, and I felt like that was perfect for him because, you know, he's working with clay and like pottery and that kind of thing. I was actually really surprised that they included pottery in like the maker trait kind of thing, and I'm mainly surprised because they're not always the best when it comes to like cross pack functionality. But I will say with business and small businesses, they did that pretty well. I would say that's something that they improved on a lot. So maker, overachiever, which comes from high school years, and loner. A lot of those traits surprisingly were randomized. I didn't like go out and like choose those traits specifically. So with that in mind, I kind of created him to be more of like a serious sim. And I don't think that people who prefer a more minimalist lifestyle are serious or anything like that, but I just thought the minimalist style fit him really well. So I stuck with just neutral white, black, and like, you know, like light gray or something like that. Kept it very like muted and industrial-ish as well. And I would say I don't think I've ever built in that style before, especially like industrial. But it was I don't know, it was just really cool and really fun to do. And I think the build came out like really sleek and clean. Also because there's not like a lot of clutter everywhere, as opposed to like the art studio where it's like posters everywhere on the wall, there's like paint splatters on the floor. But this one's just like, I imagine it's like a very calm space. But yeah, another headcanon that I have is that, like I said, he's very serious. I imagine when they get reviews, like Yelp reviews of like the pottery studio and stuff, it's like the pottery classes are great, but the teacher was kind of mean. I got the idea because when I was like playtesting with him, running like pottery classes and stuff, he gets very tense because he's a loner sim. So being around like that many sims gets him, like he gets like really irritated or, you know, like tense. And so when he's for like running the classes or like mentoring people, you know, like when sims are tense, their voice is like very like annoyed. So I don't know, I just thought that was kind of funny. Also with the pottery studio, there is a, I guess, cafe on the second floor. I don't know if like because I was kind of surprised by this. They gave us like a little espresso bar object with a new pack, but it's not technically it doesn't function the same as the espresso bar from Get Together because it doesn't need like the grinder and the frother, whatever it's called. And I was kind of surprised that they didn't just make the Get Together cafe thing like base game. I was really thinking that they would, especially when we got the Cozy Bistro kit, because that would have been like a perfect time to do it. But maybe they feel like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't have been upset by it. And I paid for Get Together, like with my own real dollars that I earned. Like that's a pack that I actually paid for. And I personally, because it came out so long ago, I wouldn't be upset if people got cafes for free in an update. I think the game would benefit from that because we wouldn't have gotten an extra object like the one from small businesses. Even though it's like a cool object, I know it has like unique drink options and stuff, but I don't know, I just thought it'd be like a perfect fit for it. Yeah, so there's like a cafe lot on the second floor. Sims can go and like order food and sit down and eat and stuff. I did put wall speakers in the build, but you are very free to remove that because I use MC Command Center, so I'm able to remove the autonomy of like dancing and cowpoke dancing specifically from like the stereo. So Sims don't dance in my game, and you can totally look up a tutorial on how to do this. I think the documentation for MC Command Center is pretty detailed as well. They kind of have like a simulated like menu thing where you can like go through the options and like the settings of MC Command Center without being in games, like all on their website, that kind of stuff. So you can like poke around and figure out how to do that. You just go through MC Tuner, enable autonomy scan, click on the object of the autonomy, whose autonomy that you want to change, and then you can just, that's kind of how you do it. But yeah, there are wall speakers in the cafe and they're playing alternative music. I was trying to use the cafe wall speaker, but I don't know, I haven't figured out how to get that one to work, because with the other wall speakers of like specific radio stations like alternative and jazz and stuff like that, if you put multiple of those wall speakers on a lot, they'll all sync and play the same song at the same time. They'll change as well, all the same. But with a cafe wall speaker, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't do that, so I didn't use that one. But also on the second floor of the pottery studio, there are private pottery rooms that you can rent out. So in my personal gameplay, I locked those doors because, and this is kind of getting into my experience with small businesses, and I'll explain why I'm calling it that in a second. But so the whiteboard has a very wide range, and there's a lot of space that you can fit objects into, as much space as you need for like classes and everything. However, it also applies vertically, so that's cool and fun, which means that if you're hosting a class on the first floor and there happens to be pottery wheels on like the second or third floor, there will be Sims on those floors, quote unquote, taking those classes, even though the class is taking place on the first floor. So I don't know if that's by design, but that's kind of irritating. So in the pottery studio, I classified those rooms as for employee only, and that way if whoever, like you can control it that way. I just felt like gameplay wise it worked better that way, and yeah, it's a lot less headache. And also this pack as well, and the do pottery business activity, you're gonna be like spending most of the time cleaning up after Sims, because they will start pottery non-stop. Like they'll sit down, start something, stand up and go, like do literally anything else, and then they may come back, but they'll sit at a different pottery wheel and start something else, and then they'll get up. It's like a never-ending cycle. And then when they do that enough times, they take up all of the space and all the pottery wheels. They'll just sit somewhere random and like their hands will be out as if they're doing pottery, but they're not sitting at a pottery wheel. It's like, I don't know, it's so weird. And this also does the same thing because Sims like to sit down when they talk, so they will sit down at a pottery wheel, not do pottery, and just sit there and talk. But someone will sit down anywhere on the lot and they'll be technically using that pottery wheel to do pottery, so it'll start spinning, but no one's actually doing pottery at that wheel. I don't know. I love this game. So the reason I've been calling it Sims 4 small business as opposed to businesses and hobbies, I feel like it's kind of obvious. I just feel that it was kind of misleading for them to have hobbies in the title of the pack, and I think they should have just took hobbies out of it. I think when they put hobbies in the title, I know I'm saying hobbies a lot, I think it just gave people the wrong idea, because people were thinking of Sims 2 free time kind of hobbies, where there's like a plethora of things that your Sims can do, and introduced a lot more new hobbies. But with businesses and hobbies, it's more so a pack about turning the already pre-existing hobbies and like other packs and in the base game and all the skills that are available, and turning those into businesses. So it kind of makes sense in that way, but I still think it should have just been small businesses. And they use that verbiage a lot in the pack itself, like in the menus, like when you're registering a small business, opening your small business, they always refer to it as your Sims small business. I think that would have been a better title for the expansion, and it would have translated a lot better, without getting people's hopes up and kind of setting false expectations. So in my mind, I prefer to call it Sims 4 Small Business because it just makes a lot more sense for it to be that way. But honestly, I don't really have any gripes about the pack other than the ones that I mentioned before. There's some autonomy annoyances that I have, but overall it's been a pretty fun pack to play with, which is surprising to say because I'm so used to complaining about Sims 4 packs, but this one was actually kind of cool. I think it's a really good final boss pack. Like after you have like all the DLCs and, you know, where you have all the DLCs that you want and that you really like, I would definitely say get this pack. Because it is really fun to turn a skill into like a business, and it also gives you the ability to create any kind of like community lot type and actually have it function the way it's meant to. Like you can control the autonomy that occurs in that specific lot. Like you could have a movie theater, a bowling alley, so we don't have to wait for them to like create a, you know, like they're not going to revisit the past packs and create a bowling alley or a movie theater because they wouldn't get a good return on investment when they do that, which is why we don't get refreshes anymore. So I think that Business and Hobbies was a really cool way to give the players control over that kind of thing. But yeah, that was a lot of talking. It's been so long since I've done like a speed build and done a voiceover. I felt like it was kind of awkward. It was a lot of mental fortitude, I would say. But I really want to do more YouTube stuff. I want to do like Let's Plays and that kind of thing, but I know I've been in school for a very long time. If you've watched like my original videos, I'm always saying like, oh, I'm in school and all this stuff, but yeah, I'm still in school. Not done yet. I haven't graduated yet, so I don't have like a ton of free time as much as I would like to. But I do really want to be more active and pursue a lot of the ideas that I have because I have a ton. And I would say live streams are like have been the easiest way for me to like get my groove back, I would say, and I don't know, have more fun with The Sims. And one way you can stay in touch to know when I do go live is to subscribe on YouTube or follow me on Twitch. I will be doing like dual streams, like I can stream on both platforms at the same time, so you can follow me on either one of those to get a notification when I go live next. Follow me on Tumblr to like stay up to date on what I'm doing. I don't really post much on Tumblr anymore, if I'm being honest with you. In terms of like posting gameplay, I'll post some things here and there, but I really don't play like I used to. I don't really have like a ton of free time, but yeah, we are nearing the end of the video, and I greatly appreciate if you listen to me yapping for this long. I hope it was an enjoyable experience for you. Definitely don't forget to like and subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and I will see you in the next one.